Dr. Robert Peters. I'm here with Miss Neely McKay doing some outstanding work with students that have special needs in Hermiston School District. This is our second installment. In our first installment, we really talked about how do you truly individualize instructional needs for students. Ms. McKay actually gave us some valuable, great information on purposeful inclusion and some practices that you guys have got to connect with. So make sure that you check the link out, right? Because you got to connect during that first installment. Because it's how do you truly individualize those services for children? The next question is, how do you, when we're thinking about it, how do you begin to build a system for the actual these inclusion needs for all students? I think that is the biggest question. It's not the what. I don't think that educators across the country say, okay, what do I need to do? I think that, being educators, we want to individualize. But as we think about the great work that you guys are doing, Neely, how are you individualizing that work for those children that need us really the most?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think what comes to mind is just the simple adage of if you know better, you do better. And so we come from it. We approach it with professional development. Like people would do better if they knew how to do better.
Right.
And one of the main things that we do, besides just professional development all the time, our district focuses on professional development. We build it into our calendars. We want to learn together. We collaborate. We PLC. We have a whole RTI process or MTI process where we collaborate together. But one of the things that we have really changed in our district is as opposed to going away from comprehensive evaluations, we're leaning into them. And I say that because you could say a student has a specific learning disability as a eligibility criteria. Well, that could mean so many different things other than just being low in reading and math, right? It's a cognitive processing issue. But which cognitive process?
Exactly.
So our evaluators, when they do their evaluations, they dig into what are the cognitive processes that are inhibiting our students from moving forward? What are the weaknesses and what are their strengths? Right. So as opposed to just generic, your qualified evaluations, we dig in so that we know that if a student has auditory processing concerns and processing speed concerns, then we know for that student, we need to present them with visuals, and we need to provide them with extra time so that they can dig into their memory and bring it out because it's in there. And we know that because long-term memory is a strength for them. Exactly. Right. So, and when we talk about that with the teachers, with the parents, with all the school staff, right, then we know how to approach that student's learning individually better. Right. So we dig into cognitive processing and we really talk about what their strengths that they can build off of and what their weaknesses are that you can help to grow or accommodate for or adapt to. Because every student's brain is different.
Exactly.
Right. And so you have to individualize. But those deep, comprehensive evaluations are key to moving our work forward here.
I love what you're saying because personally, this is, from a personal side, I have a son with autism, and, a lot of the times people have this misconception of, children with autism, right? You think one thing, but just looking at, he's extremely high functioning, so his needs have differentiated through the time, right? It started with more needs around language more than anything, right? He loved the L's and the L's and the R's, right? Those were extremely hard for him. But now his needs are going to more social-based needs as he grows up. And one thing that I like that you said is you have to lean in because a lot of the times, if you're not careful, you will have him in speech therapy a lot longer than he needs to be.
Mhm.
or then begin to not truly understand his strengths or her strengths, to
Mhm.
then build a system around their strengths as well as build a system around their areas of growth. And I think that, so that kind of hit home for me personally, because what I see is a student, I mean, having a student with autism, how his strengths, his memory of sort, I mean, he can memorize things and you're like, wow, you know, and his level of discipline around things that are that are of interest to him
Mhm.
is on another level, you
Mhm.
know, and to have to be able to build upon those strengths in that, you know, in that the actual assessments is extremely important, which goes back to what we said in our first installment, is how do we individualize for our children, right? When it's all said and done,
Mhm.
in Hermiston School District and in the school district that you're probably, if you're a viewer here or in your own community, these are our babies. So when it's all said and done, how are we individualizing and building systems and plans for
Mhm.
our children? Folks, Hermiston School District, man, they're on another level. I've got to tell this real quick story, right? Hermiston School District, they have kind of one of the best grow your own, I'd say grow your own teaching and administrators processes in the nation. And I was talking to Dr. Mooney about like being a teacher, possibly, you know, like if I was a high school student, you guys have processes where you can go from a high school student, then begin to go to a TA's position, then actually partnerships with the colleges to get certified, and then go inside of a classroom. And she was just talking about how you guys even feed the actual the teachers or the TAs who are working to become teachers at the high school once a week as they're studying and going through the classes. Yo, I mean, what school district you can go to where you can say, listen, I want to be a teacher, and in the 12th grade, and then you end up being a TA, you end up being a teacher, and then you can go and eat every Thursday when you actually study and do your work in your classes, right?
We
I
also
mean,
help them with their homework while they're eating,
oh,
but
you
yeah.
see, yes, so I can eat, get help on my homework. I mean, this is really just not necessarily building individualized school systems for children, but it's also building these individualized systems for adults. So, folks, you've got to go to Hermiston School District. They're doing amazing work there. As a matter of fact, Ms. McKay, if you get flooded with a bunch of links and people really want to see the amazing work that you are doing, just let us know. Be a part of our family. We're going to be talking about all these pieces in June in DC. We've talked about what do future focus initiatives in schools look like for children with needs. We've talked about what it looks like with gifted children. We talked about children with EL needs. We've talked about children, you know, that are African American. What are future focus schools for all children?